We will start our service today with a thought for contemplation from the Atlantic magazine. Comfortable history is like the computer virus that poses as a security shield. It positions the espouser as a brave truth teller, even as it infects us with its lies. The UU principles reflected in today's service are: number one, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and number two, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. So good morning. Welcome to the online service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Waterville, Maine. My name is Mark Jose, and I will be your worship associate today. This is another of our online worship services, new experience in the history of our church. We are thankful that so many members and friends of this church have stepped up to put together these online services. We welcome Peter Berger as today's worship leader. Peter will speak on the implications of the social upheavals currently shaking American society. This worship service will also feature music from Annabeth Reinders, Harry Vale, and Beth Schilling. As you will see, we have assembled this online worship service from video clips that various friends and members of this church have recorded. If you would be interested in making a video of yourself doing a call to worship, chalice lighting, reading, music, or some other part of the service, please email the worship committee at uuworshipcommittee@gmail.com. Thank you. Now, on to our announcements. The Board of Trustees has voted to continue suspension of on-site meetings for the months of July, August, and September. 10 a.m. services during the month of July will be live via Zoom and can be accessed through the link on our church website. This is another first for our church. We hope to see you all there. At 11 a.m. today, Sunday, June 28th, Crystal Kessler will be hosting our church's virtual coffee hour, which occurs every Sunday at 11 a.m. You can access the live coffee hour through the link on our website. In other announcements, please remember that through this period of suspension for on-site services, the church continues to have ongoing expenses. Please continue to make your pledge and plate contributions, either by using the donate button on our website or by mail to UUC Waterville, P.O. Box 435, Waterville, Maine 04903. Thank you. And finally, join your church friends for a virtual coffee house each Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8. Come to sing, play music, read a poem, do a comedy routine, or just listen and enjoy. You can join by following instructions on our church website. See you there, and remember, it's BYOC. Bring your own coffee. We turn now to greeting our neighbors. This portion of our service, which is a little bit different from how we usually do it during our in-person worship services. Usually during this portion of our service, we exchange greetings with people who are sitting near us in the pews. The purpose of greeting our neighbors is to acknowledge the importance to us of our fellow worshipers. As we sit in our virtual pews right now, take a moment to think of someone in our church whom you might like to say hello to. At some point today, get out your cell phone or computer and send that person a text or an email, or give them a quick old-fashioned phone call. Even though we are physically separated right now, we can still acknowledge our fellow riders on the spiritual journey. Now, please prepare yourself for the worship as we listen to the prelude. As is the tradition in our church, we will light the chalice and have a short reading. We live in a time of great divisions over race, fueled by ignorance, denial, and shame. With this light, may we find the way through our differences to heal our wounds, to find our way to a world in which racial equality is a reality.
This reading is by Langston Hughes. It's a poem. The title is Let America Be America Again. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be the great strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Well, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro, bearing slavery scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant, clutching the hope I seek, and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today despite the dream, beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers. I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet, I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that made America the land it has become. Oh, I am the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from Black Africa's strand I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed and all the songs we've sung, all the hopes we've held, all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow at the rein, must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me an ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain from those who live like leeches on people's lives. We must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me, and yet I swear this oath, America will be. And out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All a stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
Hymn number 137 is not that familiar. We sang it once in 2016. I thought you should hear the words to the first verse. We utter our cry that peace may prevail, that earth will survive and faith must not fail. We pray with our life for the world in our care, for people diminished by doubt and despair.
Our story for all ages today is called Something Happened in Our Town. Something bad happened in our town. The news was on the TV, the radio, and the internet. The grown-ups didn't think the kids knew about it, but the kids in Ms. Garcia's class heard some older kids talking about it, and they had questions. After school, Emma asked her mother, "Why did the police shoot that man?" "It was a mistake," said her mother. "I feel sad for the man and his family." "Yes, the police thought he had a gun," said her father. "It wasn't a mistake," said her sister Liz. "The cops shot him because he was black." Emma was confused. "He is brown, not black," she said. "Some black people have dark brown skin and some have light brown skin," Emma's father explained. "Black usually means African American. Most of their ancestors were brought here from Africa as slaves." "I know what a slave is," said Emma. "That's when you have to do whatever the other person says." Yes, slaves had to do whatever white people told them to do. Even after slavery ended, white people didn't let black people live where they wanted, go to school with white people, or vote. Who are white people? White people came here from places in Europe, or Russia, or other countries. We are white, even though our skin is light tan. "Did our family do those bad things a long time ago?" asked Emma. "Yes," answered her mother. "Back then, many white people thought that they were better than black people, even though it wasn't true." Liz added, "Some white people still think most black men and boys are dangerous, even though they're not." "Was that man that got shot dangerous?" asked Emma. "No," her mother said. "Shooting him was a mistake. It was a mistake that is part of a pattern." "Like the pattern on my blanket?" Emma asked. "Yes, but this pattern is being nice to white people and being mean to black people. It's an unfair pattern." "Suppose you had a birthday party and invited everyone in your class except the black kids," her mother said. "How would the black kids feel?" "They would be sad," Emma said, "or mad. And you would be missing out, because you never know who is going to be your best friend," said Liz. "And you can help others to be fair," said her mother. "Like telling Anna to stop teasing Ling about her name?" asked Emma. Her mother gave her a hug. "Yes, just like that." In another house, Josh asked his mother, "Can police go to jail?" "Yes," said his mother. "Why do you ask?" "That white policeman who shot the black man," said Josh. "Will he go to jail?" "What he did was wrong," said his mother. "But he won't go to jail," said his father. "Why not?" asked Josh. "Cops stick up for each other," said Josh's brother Malcolm, "and they don't like black men." Josh was confused. "Why not? Some police are black." "You're right," said his mother. "Uncle James is a police officer, and so is my friend Kenya." "There are many cops, black and white, who make good choices," said his father, "but we can't always count on them to do what's right." Malcolm added, "I could get stopped by the police just because I'm black, even if I don't do anything wrong." "That's not fair," Josh said. "What if it was a white man in the car? Would the police have shot him?" "They probably wouldn't have even stopped the car," said his father. "Sometimes white people are treated better than black people," said his mother, "but it's not right. Everybody should be treated fairly." Josh's mother gave him a hug. "We're proud of who we are. Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela were strong and brave black leaders. They showed us that we can stand up for our rights and set good examples for others. They were treated unfairly, but helped others learn to be more fair." "Some people haven't learned yet," said his father angrily. "Why are you mad?" asked Josh. "I'm mad that we're still treated poorly sometimes. But I can use my anger to make things better," said his father. "Black people have a lot of power if we work together to make changes." "I have power," Josh said, "and I'm smart." His father smiled. "You're right." His mother added, and you can change people's hearts by sticking up for someone who is not treated fairly. Like how Malcolm sticks up for me when the kids tease me about my glasses, Josh asked. He tells them to step off. Just like that, his parents said. The next day, a new kid joined Emma and Josh's class. His name was Ahmad, and he was from a country far away. Ahmad didn't know where to sit or what to do because it was his first day in school. He talked a little bit, but it was hard to understand him. He said he was learning English. After lunch, the class went outside to play soccer. Daniel and Sophia picked kids to be on their teams. All of the kids were picked to be on a team, except Ahmad. Daniel said Ahmad probably didn't know how to play because he was new. Sophia said Ahmad might not be good at soccer. Josh remembered what his mother said about sticking up for people who are treated unfairly. Emma remembered what her mother said about unfair patterns and birthday parties. All of a sudden, Ahmad wasn't alone. Emma and Josh were leading him to their team. We have enough kids on our team, Daniel said. We don't need him. But Josh was ready. Step off, he said. He's playing. Yeah, said Emma. We don't want to miss out. And just like that, Emma and Josh gained a new friend and started a better pattern in their school.
Now is the time in our service where we share the joys and concerns that are in our hearts. I will omit specific names since this service is on a public website. A member of our congregation asks that as we live through this period of national turmoil, we remember our UU principles and seek in all things justice through peace. Another member again asks that we particularly hold the members of the Navajo Nation in our thoughts and prayers and look for ways as individuals and as a church to assist them during this difficult time. Finally, someone asks that all of us raise our hearts and our minds to bring comfort to the women and men, girls and boys in our own country and across the world who are suffering physically, emotionally, and spiritually in these dark hours. May they live to feel the warmth and light of a new day. For these joys and concerns which have been expressed, as well as those that lie still unspoken, we offer thoughtful minds, helping hands, and loving hearts.
There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Several years ago, I went to a workshop led by the wonderful African-American singer, songwriter, and teacher, Issei Barnwell, and she taught us that line of the spiritual referred to not the slaves, but the slave owners. The message of Balm in Gilead is both stern and magnanimous. It says, we're holding you accountable as our oppressors. We're not letting you off the hook, and neither is God. But God is merciful, and we will try to be merciful, and there will be healing for all. A balm in Gilead.
So today's reading is an excerpt from a New York Times magazine. It was written by Claudine Rankin. Though the white liberal imagination likes to feel temporarily bad about Black suffering, there really is no mode of empathy that can replicate the daily stain of knowing that as a Black person, you can be killed for simply being Black. No hands in your pockets, no playing music, no sudden movements, no driving your car, no walking at night, no walking in the day, no turning onto this street, no entering this building, no standing your ground, no standing here, no standing there, no talking back, no playing with that toy gun, no living while Black. The title of today's message is Our Country We Never Were. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This bold proposition, which aligns directly with our first and second Universalist Unitarian principles, was a serious stretch of the imagination in 1776 and is now. Nowhere in the history of man's existence have all men been born, lived, or been treated equally. Of course, I needn't explain this to women who have yet to have their equal rights recognized even under US law. Subjugation of one out-group by another in-group, whether in service of empire building, religious holy wars, nationalism, economic dominance, class distinction, tribal territory, colonialism, or paternalism, has been with us since humans walked the earth. Slavery, the dominant subjugation and dehumanizing of one group by another group, has been a reality since our earliest beginnings. Self-evident truths, the equality of all men, unalienable rights, including liberty. These groundbreaking concepts on which we founded our nation are truly radical. The more so because the man that wrote these words owned over 130 slaves at the time, as did many of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. Indeed, slavery has been a present in the American colonies since its earliest beginnings. Native Americans, considered barbarians, that is, non-Christian, were the first outgroup subjected to betrayal, subjugation, and all forms of inhuman treatment. 20 slaves from Ndongo would arrive in 1619 to the English colony of Jamestown. They would be the first of 388,000 enslaved African men, women, and children kidnapped to the American soil. Another 12 million would end up in the Caribbean and the South American continent. The tragic truth is that our nation set out these principles in historic documents, but has never come close to achieving them. Racism today is still a deeply seated viral cancer eating away at the soul of America. It is systemic dysfunction in most of our American institutions. Our legal system, to include police departments, district attorneys' offices, courts, local, state, federal jails, parole boards. It infects our voting system in several states. It is easily found in our separate and unequal school systems, many of which, in fact, do not even teach racism's history, purposely purchasing history texts that leave this history out. It is in our workplaces, our corporate headquarters, our healthcare system, our housing and mortgage industries, our churches, and it is most significantly in our local, state, and federal governments. It is not only our southern states either where this disease can be found. Since Blacks began to flee the terrorism of Jim Crow South, northern legislatures and mayors, city councils, civic organizations, banks, realty companies, and citizens have all colluded to pin Black Americans into segregated ghettos, places of substandard housing, underfunded schools, few health resources, high rates of unemployment, and repressive armed police forces that relate to the Black community more as an enemy to be subjugated than to be kept safe. One could hope racism would finally die out after several generations. Babies, after all, are not born with racist genes. And there's nothing in the words that Jesus spoke that would suggest that he would not fully endorse the basic truth that all people have inherent worth and dignity and should be treated equally and respectfully. So how, 157 years after the end of slavery, are we still so heavily infected by this virus? Well, part of the answer, I believe, is white complacency, a non-willful blindness and ignorance of the problem. Being the privileged, white Americans would prefer not to examine their privilege, not think about race, and not understand what a different place America is to its Black population. The recent spate of weekly Black murders by police has, at least for the moment, forced white America out of their comfort zone and spurred mass demonstrations and demands for change. People are talking about race, opening themselves to new understanding. It is refreshing, even hopeful. But this moment of raised awareness may quickly pass, and the necessary actions to address racism can be lost and our consciousness clouded over once again. This virus is deeply embedded in our national institutions, but especially, I believe, our local and state institutions, our local school boards that choose to whitewash racist history, town councils and police that enact and enforce laws specifically targeting Black citizens, county and state courts that disproportionately send Black citizens to jail, putting their families in financial jeopardy, state legislatures that underfund services to Black and poor communities, white Christian churches that remain silent on the issue of racial injustice, zoning boards, insurance commissions, all white unions, parole boards, private schools, local banks, all play a role in maintaining our racist systems. And all these institutions are people, our neighbors, our friends, work associates, fellow parishioners. So this work is necessarily personal and difficult. To call out the virus, to see it, to name it, is to invoke guilt and shame, and certainly defensiveness in people we care about. And possibly, of course, we may be the ones called out. We may be the ones unwittingly or otherwise acting in racist ways. Another major obstacle to recognizing and eradicating this disease is that we have real guilt, collectively and personally, for its continued existence. We have buried our head in the sand, refused to see our white privilege, clung to our false image of a great America. Racism is our American shame. We have committed not one, but two great genocides against human beings so that we could take their land and use their cheap labor. With the exception of World War II, we have never risen to the principles our nation was founded upon. But ownership and responsibility come hard to a South that hangs on to a false nobility of their cause in the Civil War, or to a North complacent during 100 years of Jim Crow terrorism, or to white Americans drunk on the idea of their supremacy over Black Americans. We can fully expect politicians, our advertising industry, conservative, nationalistic organizations to resist accountability and to stoke the fires of American exceptionalism and purity. Better to attack the truth and go through an agonizing process of self-examination, feeling real guilt and shame and sadness for our diseased republic. We must make a start using this current national and international upsurge of energy. The first step is to see the racism in our country today. It is an ugly, festering wound we have refused to address since the mid-1960s. It is more hidden than it was during Jim Crow. Finding it, calling it out, examining it in all its manifestations is our work now. What are its symbols? Where is its message being spread? Who chooses to hide the truth? What laws, rules, police practices, loan requirements, local, state, and federal budget limitations ensure its continued viability? What churches, school systems, legislatures, corporations, police departments, and politicians promote a racist agenda, overtly or covertly? If we can't locate the disease, we can't begin to treat it. Concurrently, we can learn our historic racist history. Know that most of us have only received a very watered down version of it. There are many good references. Jill Lepore's book, recent book, These Truths, would be a good start. Where we locate the sickness of racism, we have to call it for what it is. Shine a bright light upon it. Shame those who promote it, protect or deny it. If they are elected officials, they can be voted out of office. If they are corporations, we can refuse to buy their product. We can re-envision our police departments. We can legislate fair housing and employment and banking practices. We can stop using property taxes to fund local education and create a fair and equitable funding source that guarantees that all schools receive the same resources so that white and Black children can be equally well educated. We can work to create a colorblind healthcare system, and we can stop allowing a prejudiced legal system to incarcerate Black men for petty crimes and then use them as slave labor in for-profit prisons. We can call out those white churches that refuse to acknowledge racism's harm. To date, the US government has not had the will or the courage to publicly apologize to the Black citizens of this country for the devastating and murderous crimes it has committed and abetted. For healing to happen, I believe that it is necessary for our nation to publicly acknowledge and apologize for its crimes against Black humanity. This needs to come from the highest level of the federal government, hopefully the president, with the unanimous support of both houses of Congress. Additionally, reparations must be made to account for the billions of dollars of wealth that has been stolen from Black Americans through forced labor or theft of their land. Ideally, these reparations could come in the form of jobs, job training, educational opportunities, or housing credits. Eula Biss has likened racist America to a house we believe we own outright, but which, in truth, has a substantial mortgage of guilt yet to be paid. On a personal level, it is important that we continue to have conversations about race with our friends, our colleagues, and especially with our children. It is quite impossible to have grown up in the United States and not have been to some degree infected by our country's racism. We can try to be open ourselves to this likelihood and search in ourselves for where and how it is manifested. We can help ourselves by reading our history of slavery and Jim Crow segregation. And we can seek out friendships with our Black neighbors and invite them to talk about their experience of racism. Over the past 35 years, homophobia, child sexual abuse, domestic violence, female sex trafficking, and sexual harassment in the workplace have all been improved through wide exposure in social media and news reporting. We can hold the same bright light up to our present racist institutions and practices and have every reason to believe that we can make our country the place of greater equality it has never been.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in our unison benediction. Let us go, remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery.